Hi there, and welcome to the show. I'm Jennifer, your life coach, business strategist, and action instigator. And today I'm here to get you unstuck from whatever is keeping you in a state of inaction. I work with and interact with a ton of creative entrepreneurs. And, a common issue they all run into is getting stuck somewhere in the creative process. Whether it's getting stuck on an idea, stuck on what the next step is to take, or just how to move forward with a vision or an aspiration. Maybe you've experienced this. You have a ton of ideas, you want to change the world, but you just don't know exactly how you're going to do it. So then you just end up, wasting time busy being busy or procrastinating or spending your days researching. And then, you don't have time for the things that are important to you, like your friends, your family, and you're not making any money when you're researching all day on the internet, right? I know your mission is important, so I wanted to give you some food for thought and some solutions to help you get unstuck and get moving on your mission. Okay, so the first point I want to make is the reason why you're staying stuck and aren't able to move forward is because you're feeling a great sense of fear, which is totally normal. I mean, you're trying to take a leap and go after your dreams, and you're not alone. Everybody feels fearful when facing something so huge like that. And so I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is the fear actually doesn't go away. It is going to be with you the whole time during this journey. So you just got to make friends with it. And the good news is that fear is actually there alongside you to protect you. It's there to serve you. So instead of trying to wait for the day where you just overcome your fears, look at fear as a friend that is there to protect you and say, thanks, fear. I appreciate you looking out. So whether you have a fear of failure, a fear of success, a fear of uncertainty, it really doesn't matter. Susan Jeffers wrote a book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, and that's exactly what you need to do. So what exactly does that mean? That means when you get that sensation of, I can't move forward because I'm super scared or I'm super nervous or I'm super anxious, just say, thank you, fear. I know you're there to protect me. I got this. I know what I'm doing. And just keep moving forward with the steps that you've laid out for yourself to reach your goal. And I'll tell you that, the more you get used to moving through the fear and just acknowledging fear's presence, fear will no longer be a reason why you don't do something. Right now, since you let fear stop you from moving forward, it just grows into this big, hairy, scary monster, and you just feel like you can't do anything to come up against it. However, once you get into the habit of being like, thank you, fear, I appreciate you, and moving forward, it's like the monster just shrinks and doesn't exist anymore. So I'm nervous and scared pretty much all the time. Like making videos, I'm so scared of videos. I'm so nervous and scared right now. But I have learned how to stop letting fear be the reason why I don't spring into action. So, I'm scared, I'm nervous, but okay, fear, I get it. Thank you for, letting me know that I might be looking silly on camera, but I have a message and a mission, and so I'm moving through the fear anyway. So, feel the fear and do it anyway. That is your solution number one. Okay, so now solution number two. So sometimes we stay stuck and in action because we can't predict the outcome. In my coaching, what I help people do is take strategic steps towards their goals. So a lot of people come to me and say, yeah, I have this goal, but I don't know what my next step is to reach it. And then when we get into a conversation, a lot of times they'll say what their next step needs to be. And what the real issue ends up being is that they're not sure what the outcome will be from that first step. And so they end up saying, well, I don't know what to do. So, for example, when I was super nervous to do workshops, because I knew that was the next step for me to go out and kind of meet the people in the new city I was living in. But I didn't know how that was going to go. I didn't know if people were going to come. I didn't know if I was going to even be able to stand up and talk in front of people. And so I talked myself into saying, well, I don't know what my next step is. But that was untrue. I definitely knew what my next step was. It was to put on the workshop. But I didn't know the outcome, and so I fooled myself into thinking I didn't know the next step. So I want to ask you, is that what is happening to you? Do you actually know your next step and you actually know what action you should be taking? You just simply don't know what the outcome of that step is, and therefore that is keeping you from moving into action. I always say that you just need to spring into action and the momentum will carry you forward. Jack Canfield illustrates this idea in The Secret when he talks about a car traveling at night, with no other light except for its headlights, which show about, 200 feet in front of it. And that even though you can't see super far in the distance, you can get from California to New York just with seeing the next 200 feet in front of you. And just you keep going, you keep going, and you keep going. Or Martin Luther King Jr. said, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. And just as you take a step and a step and a step and a step, you will continue to climb the staircase and you will get to your destination, right? The same goes for in life. You've also heard the Chinese proverb, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step. So all the wise greats knew it, and now you know it too. You don't have to know the outcome to move into action. And in fact, sometimes it takes taking that first step and second step and third step for the path to be revealed to you. So that is your solution number 2. Okay, so number 3, sometimes opportunity never comes in knocking. I'm going to read a quote off of my screen here. Every person I have heard of has done the best he could with the conditions as he found them and not waited until next year for better. So what does that mean? That sometimes you have to create, the opportunity for yourself. So to illustrate this issue, I want to go a little Psych 101 with you and talk about 2 types of people. Those that operate from an internal locus of control and those that operate from an external locus of control. If you're operating from an internal locus of control, you believe that you're in charge of your life and that you can influence the direction your life takes. If you're operating from an external locus of control, you believe that outside forces and people determine the outcome of your life and actions and feelings. And these people generally feel powerless over the outcomes of their life. Now, I want to ask you, which group do you belong to? And which group would you want to belong to? Now, in my opinion, it seems like hearing those 2 definitions side by side, everyone would say, well, I want to be in the first group. I want to be operating from an internal locus of control. But, we all sometimes operate from an external. So how many times have we blamed the weather or blamed what he said or what she thought or, the government, or we blamed our last boss for what is showing up in our lives or why we are or aren't doing something in our lives? I think we've all been there. I certainly have done that. I certainly do that. And again, the point of pointing out all of these, things that come up for us in life is not to beat ourselves up. It's just to bring the awareness of what we do so that we can acknowledge it and move forward so that we don't stay stuck, but that we move into action. So if you see yourself operating from an external locus of control, just, get it in check right away, right? And then ask yourself, like, well, what can I do? And where does my power lie in this situation? What can I control? Now, if you are someone who this is super new and you've never heard of anything like this, and it kind of sounds foreign that you actually have control over, you can influence the direction of your life. And, the tune you've been singing has been, this is what the government is doing to me, and this is what the weather's doing. And since she thinks this, I have to do that. And that you actually have a choice in that. It's definitely time to change this station and start, being the captain of your own ship. And why? Well, when you're controlled by what everyone else thinks and what everyone else does and what the weather is doing and what the recession is doing to your life, then you're completely powerless and you can't do anything but just exist. And of course, that keeps you stuck. However, even in any circumstance, if you know that there's a power within you that can do something about it, then you're able to start going into problem solving and, looking for solutions. Let's say you want to fill your practice with clients and, you say, well, I have my website up, so I'm just waiting for the phone to ring. If you have, are operating from an external locus of control, you're thinking, well, the recession is keeping me down. People don't believe in self-help anymore. But when you know that you have the power to do something about your situation and you're saying, hey, my goal is to fill my practice with clients, then maybe you'll get up, go outside and start meeting people, giving people your cards, doing workshops, speaking in front of people, promoting your website, whatever. But when you know that it's not just the recession that is keeping clients from you, but actually you could be doing something to get clients, you're in a more powerful position, and that'll definitely spring you into action. And that way, it doesn't matter if opportunity comes in knocking or not, because you're going to create the door, open it up, and walk through it yourself. And that's your solution number 3. Okay, so the last point I want to make is that action inspires courage, okay? Action inspires courage. So you might be thinking right now, so you told me to feel the fear and just move through it anyway. And I can't even see the outcome, but you just want me to take the steps in the dark. And, I can't even wait for the phone to ring. I got to build a door, walk through it, do all that work, and that's scary stuff. And I totally know it's scary, and I know it's new, and I know it takes effort and action, right? But I just want to say that I've tried both sides. I've tried inaction and I've tried action. And what I know to be true is that it's way easier to take action, because when you're in the corner with your tail tucked and you're over analyzing and you're thinking about the what ifs and, the big, hairy, scary monster is just growing bigger and bigger, and you're just like, I can never do that. It's way worse. There's so much anxiety that comes with that. But when you just move into action, so many things happen. First, you find that it's not as bad as you thought, right? I mean, we can just spin these stories in our head. And once you really spring into action and just get into it, you usually find that it's not as bad as you thought. Also, when you are in action and you're like actually in it, whatever it is, whatever the goal or the project is, you learn so much more. And you learn, when you're outside analyzing and trying to like think through every step and it's not a real life practice, then you can't learn, because it's just all your imagination essentially. But when you're in it, getting your hands dirty, you learn so much more, and you're on the inside and you can be like, oh, this is the solution, that's my next step, that's my next move. And it's just way better. You save so much time by just getting in there and getting started. The other point is that, we've all heard it, but life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So, when you spring, the next action you take, is part of a long history that you're building of actions that you're going to take. And so when you move through this fear and you take the first step, even though you can't see the outcome, and you're building your door anyway, the next time you're scared, you have a reference, and you're just going to be building, all these success stories. I just had a super scary, presentation I had to do. I was so nervous. I wanted to call in sick. I just didn't want to do it. But then I thought to myself, remember the last time you were so scared you could hardly walk? And it was when I was teaching a bunch of teenagers in Ecuador in Spanish, and they were super rowdy. And I was like, I'm just not going to make it. But I did it, and I survived, and I didn't die, because that's what I always think. When I'm scared, I'm like, it's 3 steps to death. I'm going to be nervous, I'm going to have a heart attack, and I'm going to die. So I made it, So when I was doing this presentation, it's like, look, man, you're scared, you're terrified, knees knocking again, but you've done it before, and you're going to do it again, and you're going to be fine. And so the more, incidents you have to draw upon, the more you're going to be able to talk yourself into it. So again, action inspires courage. There's a quote, if I can find it, by Walt Anderson: nothing diminishes anxiety faster than action. And that is your 4th solution. So those are your 4 solutions to get you unstuck and moving on your mission. I'd love to hear how you're going to apply these solutions to your life. Which solution spoke to you most? What action are you going to take today to go from inaction to moving and grooving on your mission? I'd love to know. So hop on over to jennifercovington.com and just leave your response in the comments section. I can't wait to hear what solutions spoke to you and what you're going to do to spring into action. I'll catch you next time. Bye.